This is Justin Lanero from the Disturbing the Peace podcast, and you are listening to Pop Goes Your World.
I'm Chris McBrien, and the pop culture from Generation X is everything to me.
And I'm Derek Myers, and I'm here to educate Chris on the great pop culture of today's generation.
Episode 146, Prince Songs. I'm Chris McBride along with Derek Myers, and this is Pop Goes Your World, the pop culture podcast for the generations. You can find Derek on Twitter at Amaron_DM, and you'll find me at C McBrien, and popgoesyourworld.com is our website with all of our information. Derek, last episode I mentioned we had a surprise this week, and we delivered. Yes. We delivered. So this week, joining us all the way from sunny and very hot Florida, one of the founding members of Pop Goes Your World, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Yancy Eaton.
Guys, it feels so good to be back. My two Canadian brothers, I love you guys.
Love you too.
I think I went on like a couple months ago, 3-4 months ago, maybe longer. I can't remember. But at neither event, it's very nice to talk to you guys and to be doing this again. The band's back together. This feels really good. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, that's great.
Yancy, we've said we've been saving the Prince topic until we knew you were available because it didn't feel right to do an episode dedicated to Prince and not have you participate in a major way. So glad you can make it tonight.
I'm not going to be gracious. I'm really going to say Chris had thrown out the idea. He's like, we're thinking about doing Prince. And I literally said, Chris, at night, I'm like, if you do that without me, I am going to be so pissed off. So make sure. That's the one thing I'm like, I will clear my schedule. Make sure I'm here for this.
That's what I was going to say. It's not just that we got to include him in this because, we've obviously done lots of top 5 shows here where we list our top 5 favorite bands or some of the songs that they've done. Like we did Queen on episode 85, and then we did U2 on episode 103, and on 137 we did Michael Jackson. And then we got thinking, we want to do top 5 Prince songs. But if we did not include Yancy in this, he might actually come up to Canada and kill us.
Yeah, no kidding.
And I'm bringing Corona with me.
Exactly. From the petri dish that is Florida right now. Yancy, since you're back this week, obviously, and we're doing a music-related show, I thought I'd share a music dad joke with you guys. So
here's your dad joke of the week.
Oh, here it is. Guys, what concert only costs 45 cents to get into?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
50 Cent with Nickelback.
Jeez.
Is it possible for you to somehow delete your account, even though this is just a podcast? Can we arrange that?
Yancy, see what you've been missing around here?
Bands that should have been bigger.
You're not talking about Prince.
I'm talking about Prince.
But Prince was bigger. He was huge.
By bigger, he means instead of playing a bar, they should have played a minor league hockey arena.
Yeah, exactly. A band that couldn't get 20 people at the Port Elgin Arena.
He was always overshadowed by one person.
Weird Al Yankovic?
Well, that's kind of stupid.
He's kind of right.
I stand by what I said.
Yancy, we love you, man. Okay, so as we mentioned, we wanted to do our top 5 Prince songs, and we could not do that episode without having Yancy Eaton back in the studio. So, Yancy, you're going to join us. So we put together our individual lists. Now, we don't care. Sometimes what we'll do is Derek and I will have a third party review our lists and then let us know if there's overlap, and we'll try to correct the overlap to try and keep 5 different things. This week, we decided not to do anything like that. There's going to be overlap. We understand that. We don't care. This is all about our 5 favorite Prince songs. We got lots to pick from. And Yancy, since you're back with us now, and it's been a little while, we'd like you to go first. So we're going to start at number 5 and work our way up to number 1. What is your number 5 Prince song and why?
Okay, it would not be a Pop Goes Your World episode without me giving a ton of disclaimers and caveats before we actually start.
Of course.
So I'm not going to talk a bunch about the all-time classics that everybody knows, right? I'm not going to talk about, I'll mention them as honorable mentions, but I'm not going to talk about the big ones, primarily the ones on the 1984 album, okay? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to...
Because I'm going to do that probably.
Okay.
So that's good.
With that being said, I want to talk about my number 5, which is Controversy. Obviously it's the name of the song. It is the name of the album. It was the fourth album released by Prince back whenever he was still with Warner Brothers. And I believe that this was where the fighting officially started between him and Warner Brothers. The song itself is absolutely incredible. It's one of the things that Prince has always done extremely well, which is he masks really serious dialogue and situational narrative between multiple people or groups of people or identity. He merges all these things and he overlays it under either really poppy funk, really four on the floor, very, very dancey kind of stuff that's low key. It's almost like Joy Division where you don't truly understand how dark some of these songs are until you actually start listening to them. I'm going to do the least interesting thing ever, which is to recite some of the lyrics to you guys from Controversy. But it says, very quickly, starting right off the top, I just can't believe all the things that people say. Am I black? Am I white? Am I straight or gay? Do I believe in God? Do I believe in me? Controversy. I'm almost done, guys. I know. I'm sorry. I can't understand human curiosity. Was it good for you? Was it what you wanted me to be? Do you get high? Does your daddy cry? Controversy. Okay, there's obviously we're back.
I would have liked it if you would have sang it.
Oh, I'm not singing for this. Are you kidding me? I'm not. It's too hard, man. But there's just so much going on here. And like I said, this is laid into a very dancey, very. I don't even know how to explain, but it is like a pop funk song. And it's just really, really dark, talking about am I exactly who you guys want me to be? And I think one of the main prevailing themes throughout the decades of Prince's career has just been do you think that I care what you want me to be? I'm constantly pushing back and challenging your notion of where you want me to fit inside this box. He got a lot of stuff because he has changed his sound so much, album for album. It was a completely different thing. And this song is just absolutely incredible. The instrumentation is amazing. Prince's voice is all over the place. We've talked about this before on the podcast. He has amazing range. He can go really high up with the falsettos. He can go down super low. He can growl. And of course, the entire time he's doing this, he's just playing fantastic guitar. So I know that was a long segue. Number 4 will be much shorter, but Controversy, number 5 is my 5th favorite Prince song.
I have a question for you because I'm the Gen X guy around here and I'm stuck in the 70s and 80s. So I don't know anything that really happened after that. But you mentioned something. You said this was before Prince had controversy with his record label, right?
Well, this was like the advent of the controversy.
And so I was just wondering if you could just maybe help me understand if you know anything about that, because I just remember there was a period after, because I like all the early Prince stuff. That's it. I don't like any of the newer stuff. It's just the way I am. And as a result, later on in his career, I remember he went through that phase where he was the artist formerly known as Prince. He was just a symbol, right? And a lot of that had to do with arguments that he had with the record label. Was that not the situation? Help me understand that.
Yeah, for sure. So it started in the 80s and it went all the way through the 90s, where basically he has always wanted complete control over distribution, over lyrics, over presentation, over how he gets to present his music, what his, everything. And this was the first time where he got a lot of pushback because on Controversy, he actually recites the Lord's Prayer. He talks about blasphemy. He talks about homosexuality. He talks about, just overtly sexual lyrics. And there's all these different things that are going on. And these record labels, they are corporate entities. They want to make music that is safe, that appeals to the masses, and doesn't really ruffle too many feathers. So obviously that flies in the face of artistic freedom and expression, and Prince has always fought those people. In the early 90s, he at one point wanted to release an album that had the N-word in it. And it obviously didn't happen. Warner Brothers ended up basically releasing another greatest hits compilation in lieu of that album because he absolutely refused to release it under any other name. So that music remained shelved. But yeah, he's just always rubbed people the wrong way. I personally, I kind of take his side on this. It's just because he's always been his own thing and he refuses to compromise from an artistic standpoint. And, you're always going to have people like that. That's how you push society forward, is you have to challenge the norms, and corporate executives, unfortunately, do not like that.
Okay, well, that's interesting to know. I thank you very much. I appreciate it. So you're my go-to guy for anything that has to do with Prince. That's for sure. So over to you, Derek. Your number 5 favorite Prince song, and we'll work our way up. What do you got?
All right. So much like Yancy, it wouldn't be a top 5 list without me giving a whole bunch of caveats, rules, and exceptions at the top. So I think I'm going to be the old man screaming, "Get off my lawn!" And you're going to find I have a lot of the. Yeah, sorry, I'm swimming in your lane tonight, man. I found that I really have a lot of textbook answers here, And it wasn't intentional. Actually, what I did was I threw together a list of my top 20 favorite Prince songs in no particular order. And I thought, well, I can narrow this down to 5. I got it down to like 11, no problem. And then narrowing it down from 11 to 5 was really tough. And I found that I kept leaning on what we'll argue are the textbook answers. Not 100% textbook, but the top 2 or 3 are textbook answers. There won't be any surprises there. Maybe the order, that'll be the only surprise. But I did realize after I put my top 5 list together, I don't have any duplicates on any album. So my 5 songs all come from 5 different Prince albums. And you'll be shocked to learn none of them are from the Batman soundtrack. And I know how much I love Batman.
You do.
But Bat Dance is an interesting Prince song. Definitely not his greatest. Certainly not. Doesn't make my top 5. And I just want to say, Chris, you mentioned off the top, we've done this same idea with U2, Queen, and Michael Jackson. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's some pretty strong company to put Prince in, but I think he absolutely deserves to be there. And I started thinking earlier this week, man, if we're going to keep doing this with musicians, this is going to be a very exclusive club. And I don't know if there are that many artists left that can fit in that sort of, that type of grouping. But maybe that's something we could talk about off mic and see if we come up with another one for down the road. But anyway,
on the way back this weekend, just to jump in, on the way back this weekend, I was listening to AC/DC and I thought they came to mind as a band that has just so many songs that you could do a top 5 of. But that's just what I thought of.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
Yep. So the other thing I wanted to say as almost sort of an apology is I don't really have a lot of good reasons for why I've picked some of these songs other than I like them. I like what I like, and I can't really explain it, which I know is sort of a lame cop-out answer, but I'm really glad Yancy's here to sort of fill in the blanks, because I think if it was just Chris, if it was just you and I, this would be a real short podcast. So in any case, okay, so with all of that being said, I'm just going to jump in, and for each of mine, I've got a whole bunch of the stats about the song at the beginning, because I figured if I don't have a lot of other things to say, let's drown you with facts. My number 5 favorite Prince song is You Got the Look from the Sign of the Times album in 1987. It was released on July 14th, 1987. It features Sheila E. on percussion and Sheena Easton on vocals. It reached number 2 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 in the week of October 17th, 1987. It stayed in the top 10 for 6 weeks. It didn't reach number 1 because it couldn't get past Lost in Emotion by Lisa and the Cult Jam. But yeah, You Got the Look by Prince, number 5 for me. I think, like, I really like what would be classified as like new wave from the 80s. I like the idea of the synthesizer sounds, but songs that are danceable, but also have radio friendly play. And I found this You Got the Look sort of really encompasses a lot of that. It's very 80s. It's got like the synth sound. It gets your foot tapping. Like, it's definitely got that. I wouldn't necessarily call it a rock song. Like, Prince, I find straddles the line with genres so much. Some of his songs are dance, pop, R&B, funk, even rock and roll. And I mean, Prince is a phenomenal musician in his own right, but his guitar skills are outstanding, which is usually the staple of a quote rock and roll band. But You Got the Look to me is more of a pop sort of funk, even very gently touching up against new wave sound, and it's definitely a song of its time, even though the album is called Sign of the Times, from 87. It fits right in nicely with other songs from that year. There's no doubt you could, if you've never heard this song before, but you knew music from this time, you'd have no problem picking it out. I have a hard time sort of describing why I like some of these songs other than to say I like what I like. And for me, You Got the Look, Sign of the Times, 1987 is my number 5.
That's the thing with good art is sometimes it's hard to describe why you like it. And Prince definitely is an artist. There's no question.
Oh, no question.
Okay, my number 5 is not a quote unquote Prince song in the sense that it's not a song he recorded himself. Because as we all know, Prince wrote a lot of songs for other people. And my
gave them away.
Yeah. So my
crazy amount of songs.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with one of these. Back in 1984, just a little bit of a setup, I went to see Purple Rain in the movie theater when it first came out. I was only 14 years old at the time. Back then, the movie rating system was a little bit different than it is now. So we got in to see a lot of movies that we probably shouldn't have been able to see. But that was part of growing up in the 80s, I guess. But anyway, so Purple Rain in the movie, it's all about obviously the music scene in Minneapolis back in the early 80s. And there was this rivalry between Prince and Morris Day in the time. And what I didn't know at the time that I saw the movie is that Prince wrote a lot of songs for the other bands that are in the movie, including one of my favorite songs from the movie, and that was Jungle Love. So his
Good pick, Chris. Good pick.
His arch rival in the movie is Morris Day, right? And now keep in mind, I have not seen this movie since I saw it in the movie theater in 1984. But I remember there was this Battle of the Bands thing that they had going on. And I remember I just absolutely loved the song Jungle Love. The energy and the dancing. Morris Day and the Time, they do this whole jumping around thing and they bounce their shoulders. And every time I hear this song, I just think of them bouncing around on stage. It's such a great, great song. And it wasn't until years later that I found out Prince wrote this song. And even though this is his competitor in the movie, but oh man, this song is so good. So I remember thinking at the time that Prince was good, but I liked these guys as much as I did Prince in the movie. And I think it was because of this song. And like I say, since then I've learned, Prince wrote songs for everybody. But I think this is probably my favorite of all the songs that he wrote for people. I remember too, back in the 80s, I used to watch WWF wrestling, and there was this one wrestler called Coco Beware. And he used to come out with this parrot named Frankie. And his walk-up music was this song called The Bird. And it always reminded me of Jungle Love. I mean, who knows? Maybe Prince wrote that song for Coco Beware too. Who knows? He was pretty prolific, so who knows? But this song, it's a great song to dance to. It's got a great stage performance. It's just a good all-around song. So as much as I love me some Prince songs, and I'm going to get into some, I think Jungle Love is one of my favorite ones of all time. So that's my pick. Number 4, Yancy, what do you got?
Let me just say, when I think of Jungle Love, it's a great song. I'm not hating on it at all. It is the definition of an earworm. You hear it, and that song stays with you.
It does.
It's intoxicating, and I don't know how else to better say it, but it is an absolute earworm. It's a great song. Obviously, 1984. Like it's just unbelievable.
I think it's the energy. I just love the energy in it. It's just Prince does that on a few other times I'm going to mention tonight, but the energy in his music is just it's just unbelievable.
Yeah,
anyway, okay, number 4. What do you got, Jens?
I'm going to give a kind of a weird pick. I don't know if it would be on a lot of people's favorites for top 5 favorite songs, but I'm going to go Starfish and Coffee. It's it's a strange song. It's really, really weird. I think it's if you had to rank it to like other say we were pitting Prince against, say, like the Beatles or something. This would be like Yellow Submarine. Okay, it doesn't really fit well into the into the I don't know, the entire discography of Prince, but it's such a weird, fun song. It literally talks about ham and breakfast and eating starfish and coffee. But my favorite part in this entire thing is it's just talking about if you how am I trying to say this? It is such a weird, kooky song that somehow resonates with me, and I don't really know why. I've always jammed with this song. I used to actually think that the words were different than what they were. I didn't think that it said starfish and coffee, but here we are. I just love the part that it talks about, like, if you set your mind free, maybe you'll understand. And then it goes right back to talking about starfish and coffee again. It doesn't make any sense. And like Purple Rain, which I'm sure at least one of us is going to mention tonight, Purple Rain is like one of those songs where nobody actually really knows 100% what Purple Rain is about. It's kind of like this with Starfish and Coffee. Is this like allegory? Is he using this as a metaphor for something else? We don't know. It's just a weird, fun, like narrative driven, weird, like flashback song. And I just think it's so kooky, and I love it. Every single time it's on, I play it all the way through. You won't see a lot of Prince heads saying that this is one of their top 5 favorite, but it's just the kookiest little thing in his discography. So Starfish and Coffee, it's weird, but I love it. Number 4.
And he wrote it about a girl that he knew. Like back in schoolism, she was really kind of quirky and weird. Mm-hmm. So that's good. Okay, Derek, what do you got for your number 4?
I got a follow-up question for Yancy. What album was that from?
Starfish and Coffee?
Yeah.
Should be Sign of the Times, right?
Really? Okay. I was going to say, I'm not familiar with that song. So, okay, I'll go back and look it up.
I'm pretty sure it's Starfish and Coffee, but you put me on the spot. Let me look real quick.
Yeah, it was on Sign of the Times. Yep.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Huh. Okay. See, the things we learn.
Yeah. That's why we bring Yancy on. He's the master.
For sure. Yeah. And for Jungle Love, Chris, I want to just say it's had a gentle resurgence in more recent years because Kevin Smith has used it as a feature in a couple of his movies with Jay and Silent Bob.
You're right.
So I think it although it's sort of in his movies as a punchline almost, it's also in there I think as a guy like us who loves 80s pop culture as a way to shine a spotlight on a song that people may have overlooked or that doesn't get enough credit. And I hope that younger people coming to the Kevin Smith movies are like, I don't know what this song is, and have since looked it up because of his nudge based on what he puts in his movies. So anyway, neither here nor there. Okay, we're going on to my number 4. I'm gonna pick one that I think is much like Yancy said with his, probably not on every Prince fan's top 5 list, but one of the Prince songs that has always stood out as a favorite to me, and that's Alphabet Street from Love Sexy, released in 1988. Single was released on April 23rd, 88. It was the first single from the album to reach the top 10. Actually, it was the only single from that album to reach the top 10 in both the US and the UK. The radio release anyway was very short. It's like under 3 minutes, which in 1988 was not typical. Like most pop songs today, and even in the 80s and 90s, were like 4, 5, 6 minutes was pretty standard. So I think that might have been part of why I liked it, is it was like you get a strong hit of Prince. It's a very short song. It's very catchy. And then boom, it's done. And then it's almost like it leaves you wanting more. I want more Prince. And there is a longer version of it that was on a couple of his albums. I have it on one of my Prince Greatest Hits albums. It has like the 7-inch remix or the 12-inch remix. It's like a 7 or 8 minute version of the song. But it's very clear there's like, for the longer version of the song, there's 2 parts. It's like there's the first 3 minutes is the radio part, like the radio friendly, clear, whatever, and then it gets a little more dancey and stuff. But anyway, Alphabet Street, very straightforward, very sort of, to me anyway, it feels very much like a by the numbers kind of song. No, by the numbers, even though it's about an alphabet. Haha, didn't mean that intentionally. I don't know. Again, thanks, yeah. Again, it's like, it's hard to describe why I like it. And one of the things that I want to say is I really love 80s music, and I really love 80s music videos. And as much as I love Prince, he has not done a lot of great music videos. There's been a few where he's tried to be a little experimental, but especially the ones in the 80s, most of them are kind of boring. It's just like concert videos or something along those lines. This is another one where it's just him dancing in front of a green screen with like letters flying around. It's sort of weird and psychedelic to look at, but it doesn't really help his case here for this song. But in any case, one of the things that also, because I love this song when I first heard it in the 80s, and it just stuck with me, but it wasn't one that you hear on the radio very often. In 1992, there was a band called Arrested Development who had a pretty successful run, and they had a song called Tennessee.
They got sued.
Sampled.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
They got sued, didn't they?
I don't remember if they got sued or not, but they sample the line from the Alphabet Street where Prince says Tennessee. They sample that version of Prince singing it in the song. And that jumped when I first heard the Arrested Development song. As soon as I heard that Tennessee, I was like, that's Prince. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it was something about that. I mean, I like the Arrested Development song on its own, but the fact that it had that hook into Prince sort of predisposed me to liking it even more. So in my mind, it's almost like those 2 songs are linked in that way. So when I hear Alphabet Street, in a way, it sort of also makes me think of the Arrested Development song. And on those very rare occasions when they replay the Arrested Development song, it definitely makes me think back to Prince. But anyway, my number 4, Alphabet Street.
Those guys should have just stayed with Mr. Wendell and just called it a day. Yeah. You know? Yeah. All right, my number 4.
Chris, I will say very quickly, I just looked it up. They did get sued for that. And
yes.
They had to pay Prince and his, I guess, record company $100,000 for that.
So not a lot of money, but I remember there was
drop in the bucket for what they probably made on it in the 90s.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so my number 4, I'm going back to 1983. I'm going to go with Little Red Corvette. Now, this is back from before Prince was Prince. Let me explain what I mean by that, because this is what it means to me. I always feel like Prince became big with Purple Rain. And before that, he wasn't as well known by mainstream audiences outside of that Minneapolis music scene. But this song, Little Red Corvette, embodies what Prince is all about to me, because his songs never meant what you thought they meant. He uses the car as a metaphor for a one-night stand that he had. And really, that's Prince in a nutshell. He's always adding sexuality into his songs, some of it androgynous, but he was always singing about women and sex. And this song for me was one of his best at doing that. So he was just a master of just getting, sexual innuendos into his songs and using metaphors for stuff. And it's catchy too. So I'm going with number 4, Little Red Corvette. That's mine. Yancy, what do you got for number 3?
This is really hard. This is like having to like kill your kids. Like you have to pick one. Like,
we're getting down to it. Yeah.
You guys remember this, all these episodes, like oftentimes I'll just have like a running list of a bunch of stuff that I want to talk about, and then at spur of the moment kind of thing, I'll drop it right before I literally talk on the mic. But for number 3, I'm going to go with a rare B-side that does not get a lot of love. It kind of has this is more of like the paying lip service to the diehard Prince fans. The song is She's Always in My Hair. It was released May 15th of 1985. It was later added to the hits and the B-sides as like that was a project or whatever, but it was originally just a single. It's a weird song. It's just basically talking about how like this woman is always here for me kind of thing. She's always in my hair when I feel like giving up. Whenever the sunshine turns to rain, when my hopes and dreams are aimed in the wrong direction, she's always there. It's literally just like a love song saying like, hey, I see you and I appreciate you. But what makes this song so awesome is the guitar. He just has a hellacious guitar solo at it that is just super cool. It's super jammy. It's very kind of classic rock, but it's the way he composes music and he builds up this song. It's a really weird, interesting piece that is constantly fusing multiple genres together. But super weird, like I said. Not like the conventional, everybody knows this, you're going to hear it at karaoke or anything like that. But for the diehard Prince fans, there's a sound on this that he captures. And like I said, the guitar work is just absolutely phenomenal. So it's my number 3. It's a very weird, kooky one. If we were to have a draft where, if you guys took a song, I couldn't take it kind of thing, this could be our last round pick. And I think it would be able to sneak in unless you guys are going to surprise me. But this is a very fly under the radar, super amazing song, and that's my number 3.
You mentioned, I have a question. Yeah, you mentioned it was a B-side. Do you remember what was on the A side of it?
Raspberry Beret.
Very good. Oh, you do know
nice.
you know your Prince. Oh, good.
Wow.
Look at you,
Good
man.
job.
Nice work. All right, Derek, what do you got for your number 3?
All right. We are going to really go into the textbook answers here, starting at number 3. And when I started putting this list together last week, this was my number 1 until like yesterday. And if we did this list 2 days from now, it might get back to number 1. My top 3 are very interchangeable. They're 3 of Prince's biggest songs ever. This one probably is the one that is the least popular of the 3, but there's still 3 pretty big songs. So my number 3 I decided to land on is Kiss from the Parade album in 1986. I guess it's, and then I have here, it was released in April of 1985. So, okay, so maybe it came out in 85. Obviously, didn't fact check my own work here. It reached number 1 in the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 charts for 2 weeks. It reached number 6 in the U.K. It was Prince's 3rd number 1 song after When Doves Cry and Let's Go Crazy. The song was ranked 464th on Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest songs ever. So, it wasn't the number 1 song by any stretch, but it made the list. What I did learn when I was doing some research for the podcast was when Prince died in 2016, a lot of his songs were re-released and charted in the top 100. Mm-hmm. And I believe the 3 I have coming up are all fall into that category. This is the first one. It was re-released in 2016, and it started at number 28 and ended up going up to 23 the year that in April 2016 when he died. One of the reasons that I know this song and like this song so much is a couple of years after it was released, there was a cover done by The Art of Noise featuring Tom Jones.
Yes, Tom Jones. Yeah.
And this is one of those rare cases where the cover song is pretty good too. Like I'm not going to say it's better than the Prince song because the Prince song is pretty damn good. But this is one where I really found that the cover was not just the band trying to sound like the original, because obviously Tom Jones has a much deeper voice, and Prince's lyrics in this is all sort of that high pitched falsetto sort of high Prince voice. And I realized when I heard the cover version that I think that's what doesn't make this my all-time hands down number 1 Prince song is the fact that he sings it with that really high voice. When I heard it sung by somebody else in a deeper voice, I kind of like that a little better. And I kind of wish the Prince had recorded a version where he wasn't with the high pitch and he went down to sort of his more, the deeper voice. I think it might have given it a slightly different sound, but the song in its own right is great. It's one of the only ones on my list that I thought actually had a sort of reason, the video was actually kind of good. It was, again, very straightforward, but it's him dancing around in those really tight pants that look like they're just painted on. Like, my God, you don't realize how tiny a man he was until you see him in this video, and you're like, holy cow, this, like, not only is he fit, but he is so tiny as a person. In the video, he is accompanied by one of his band members from the Revolution band, Wendy Melvin. She's playing the guitar while he's singing and dancing. Again, this is it's. I mean, it is what it is, right? It's got great lyrics. Act your age, not your shoe size. I always love that. And this gets a lot of radio play. I listen to a lot of 80s channels. And so you hear this one pretty regular. It's in pretty heavy rotation, even now, like, 30, 35 years later. I've always just liked number 3 on my list is Kiss. One thing that I did want to bring up, so Prince apparently is one of the only really big artists of the 80s that was not a fan of Weird Al Yankovic, in the sense that Weird Al Yankovic did parodies of everything and everyone. And apparently Prince was the only artist that Weird Al would approach year after year. Every time Prince had a new song, Weird Al's people would reach out, Prince, we want to do a parody of your song. And he was having none of it. He was like, nope. It was all about integrity. And it's like, he didn't want to have anything to do with parody. And I remember years following, Weird Al was always asked that. They're like, have you ever run into trouble with people who, don't like what you've done? And he's like, well, there's an artist who we won't mention the name of, but he likes to appear naked on the cover of his albums, and he's obsessed with the color purple, and he just won't have any of it. So I always found that was sort of interesting about Prince, that I don't know if it was he genuinely disliked Weird Al, or he just didn't like the idea of his songs being parodied. But I always just thought that was an interesting quirk about him. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But it reminded me because I'm looking at the cover of the album of this. And anyway, so Kiss was my number 3. I'm going to pass it over to you, Chris.
Just as an aside, my favorite Weird Al Yankovic story is, remember the movie The Naked Gun, when Frank Drebin comes off the plane and everyone's cheering and screaming and yelling at him, and he thinks he's like so popular. He's like, wow, what a reception. And then his boss is like, yeah, they're not here for you. Weird Al Yankovic is on the plane. And I just found that so funny. I don't know. I just love it.
Can I just say too, also as a random aside, the tangents that we have gotten on tonight has been quite a joy. We were talking about a WWF wrestler's parrot's name. We were talking about Weird Al Yankovic. It's really been a ride.
Oh,
tonight.
Prince brings all people together.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's why we had to have you back, Yancy. Okay, my number 3. I'm going to be like Derek. I'm going to stick with the big ones here. I'm going with a song from 1982, and the song is named the same name as the album. That's 1999. This song is really, really, really good. And it's also from before his popularity exploded with mainstream audiences, because it came out before Purple Rain. And I remember I used to DJ at a bar in the 90s, and they came out with a dance remix of this song. And it was always one of the most popular songs with the crowd, even 15 years after it came out. Now, a lot of it probably had to do with the fact that, the song was popular in 1999 because of the lyrics. But the thing is, his songs have staying power. And this is one of those songs that probably has as much staying power as any of his songs. It hit the Hot 100 4 times across 3 decades. So if that isn't staying power, I don't know what is. But it makes my list number 3. Okay, so Yancy, number 2, what do you got?
I'm still trying to decide. This is so tough.
Right down to the wire, figuring it out. That's
okay.
Awesome.
Number 2, I'm gonna save I'm gonna save the good one for number 1. That would make sense, right? Save the best for. Okay, that's how rankings work, guys.
That's it.
So number 2, I'm going to pick it is one of 4 singles that came off of the 1979 self-titled album by Prince, affectionately called Prince, the eponymously named Prince album. So it is Want to Be Your Lover, which I'm not saying this with hyperbole. I am not trying to exaggerate or make this sound better than it is. Want to Be Your Lover is the greatest karaoke song of all time. It is incredible. The only part that you could possibly say doesn't really make sense from a karaoke standpoint is there is like a long instrumental to end the song that lasts like 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes, whatever, that if you just chopped it off and just added the chorus a couple more times, it would be even more of a banger for the karaoke types. But Want to Be Your Lover, I know you guys know the song. Obviously, everybody knows it. It's fantastic. It was one of his, I don't want to say it was his first hit on this actual album. It only ever charted up to like 162 on the Billboard 200. So, the Prince's self-titled album didn't sell super, super well. But There's some great live TV performances whenever Prince was super, super young, and he gets brought on stage. And by there's one performance where James Brown actually introduces him, which is just amazing. And he performs this, and he has long hair. He has like this, this really dark mustache, and he's just like this goofy, super bubbly, fun, like extremely, extremely young, performer. But everybody's like, oh, we got to bring Prince on. Like, there's already all this buzz within the industry talking about how Prince is going to be the next big thing. And so he was the musician's musician. He was the artist's artist kind of thing. And he performed every single instrument on this album, like he does most of his albums. Sings it, everything like that. You can go high, you can go low. Just from, I wish I've said this before, Chris. I know it takes a lot of time just to edit the podcast and just to edit out all the things that I talk over you guys and I run too long and I say a lot. This is one of those songs where I wish we could just like supplant a chunk of it into the podcast so people can just get the chorus out, because it is just such an infectiously good, amazing karaoke song. Like as soon as we get over this COVID stuff and you guys go out to your local pub or your bar or whatever you guys call it in Canada, your local igloo, make sure that you guys play this song on the karaoke. It is absolutely like the best karaoke song of all time. So that's my number 2, "Wanna Be Your Lover" from the 1979 self-titled Prince album. And it's just fantastic.
When I tell you, when COVID is over, you can come up here to Canada and we'll all go out karaokeing together.
That sounds fantastic.
So you're telling me you go to karaoke and you sing "I Want to Be Your Lover"?
Well, you gotta bust
out the falsetto for this one.
You'd be surprised. I actually have kind of I actually can't really hit the low registers. I kind of have a naturally higher voice, and my singing wants to sit up in that range, in like that weird falsetto that doesn't make sense to be coming out of a guy that's 6'1", 220 pounds, but. Yeah, but I can absolutely hit the falsetto for sure. It's easier than going low. Yeah, because Derek mentioned before, like Prince did use the falsetto a lot in his songs, but this song is like exclusively he sings falsetto the whole song. Yep. So, oh man, I got to hear you sing karaoke sometime. That would be great. Okay, so Derek, what do you got for your number 2?
All right. So, Chris, you stole my thunder. My number 2 is 1999 from the album of the same name, released in the year 1982. You basically touched on all my stats right out of the gate, so thanks for that. There's really not a whole lot more I'm going to say, and I can say about this. So I'm going to do another quick aside about Prince since we're here. And, I got to fill my time with something a little more useful. So an interesting Prince story that I always liked was when Saturday Night Live did their 40th anniversary special. This would have been, I think they're in their 45th year now. So this would have been 5 years ago. They had this giant special where they basically invited back every cast member that had ever been on stage and like all their A-list guests and a ton of musical performers. And I remember listening to a podcast where they were interviewing Bill Hader, like 2 weeks after this thing. And they were asking him all sorts of stuff. And they said, like, what can you tell us about this after party, which apparently was legendary. And he was saying that, when you've got that many famous people together, there's a lot of egos and there's a lot of people trying to one up each other. And he said there was a stage. And so, of course, the various musicians would come out and perform and everyone would do whatever their biggest song was. And then someone else would come out and go, no, I got a bigger song than that. And he said, like, all night long, it was just musician after musician trying to one up each other. And then finally, Prince just was like, okay, I got this. Hold my beer. And I don't know if he literally said that, but that was sort of the thing. Prince goes up, performs like 3 songs in a row, just blows the place away. And that was it. Even though the party wasn't over, nobody had the guts to follow Prince after that. They're like, okay, he wins. And I just thought that's how I always imagined Prince. Like, he wasn't the guy to again, I don't know this for sure. This is just my impression of him was, where all the other bands were like, hey, look at me, I'm the best. It was like, he's the guy that just sort of is like, I'm not interested in that. I'm in it for the music. And then when prompted by the other people, they were, what's that, Chris? Or what's that?
It's about the art.
Yeah. And then when finally people were like, Prince, you should go. It finally got to a point where he's like, okay, we're going to settle this once and for all, and it was just like, boom, here it is. And if according to the podcast, what Hader was saying is he's just like, you've never been to a better concert in your whole life. And Prince was the cherry on top. Like, there was no better way to clearly let the room know Prince is the man. He is on top of it. It doesn't matter who else was in the room. Prince is number one. And so I always like that story. So anyway, since Chris stole all my thunder from 1999, that's what I'm going to use my time for. So I'll leave it over to you. Chris, what's your number two? Don't steal my number one.
All right, my number two is When Doves Cry, because this is a song that put Prince on the map. I remember when this song came out, and this is back when music videos were like everything, right? And this video had Prince getting out of a bathtub naked.
Oh, my.
And then reaching his hand out to the camera. So it pretty much cemented him with audiences for being sexually suggestive, right? And there's all the haze and the purple lighting. And as for the song itself, I mean, what can you say? It's just a great song. It opens with this really cool guitar solo and the drums. And the thing about it that's cool is because for a song that has such a prominent beat to it, there's no bass guitar used in the song. It was Prince's first song to hit number one on the charts. It stayed there for 5 weeks. It was the top selling single of 1984. And it was a song that first launched Prince into superstardom. So it's number two for me. Now we're on to number one. This should be good. Yancy, what do you got?
Okay, a couple things. I love all of you guys' picks. I can tell you guys' hearts are in the right place. I really appreciate it. I love it. Right, this has been a lot of fun being able to talk Prince with you guys, my two Canadian brethren, like I said earlier. What else I want to say real quick? A couple honorable mentions. Let me throw out some songs real quick that I have not mentioned. Obviously, all of Purple Rain is incredible. It is a masterpiece. It's one of the 10 best albums of all time. I genuinely believe this. I'm not sure where it falls as far as like the actual pantheon of greatest albums of all time, but it is super, super up there for me. Derek, I love that you have 5 songs from 5 different albums, because I think that's a huge testament to just the amount of great music and how long he did it and how different all of his different pieces were. And it's just amazing that he was, to be as prolific and original and constantly putting out new stuff as he did. To throw out some songs that I just want to mention: Most Beautiful Girl in the World, amazing song. Raspberry Beret, also another fantastic karaoke song. Just a beautiful, beautiful single. Love it to death. When Doves Cry is a classic. It is everybody and their mother loves it. Like literally, like everybody likes this song. It's really hard to find somebody that's like, oh, please turn that off. Like I would say more so than Purple Rain, just because Purple Rain is a little bit longer and it's not really like a sing and dance song too. It's just like I feel this song emotionally, like deep within myself. That's what Purple Rain is. When Doves Cry is like, that is the banger. That is like that's like in the club. You know what I mean? Sign of the Times, of course. I have to mention Black Sweat. I have to mention Seven. But very quickly, my number one song, it actually comes off of, where are my notes? It was released April 7th of 1978, and it is I'm Yours. This is my pick for the greatest guitar work in a song that you will find from Prince. So obviously he has lots of live versions of every song you can think of. He has constantly changed songs. He has multiple versions, and this doesn't sound quite like it did on that album. And whenever they re-release it, like there's different pieces, and he was constantly working on his stuff, and you would never see the same show twice, right? This is the song that I always recommend to people whenever I try to espouse like the virtues of Prince as a guitarist and as a musician. So like we've talked about this before in past episodes. Chris, I'm not sure if you were on this one, Derek, or not, but all these musicians, while he was still alive, if you would have asked them, hey, who's the greatest guitarist, they would have all said Prince, right? And this is from everybody. Everybody would have said that Prince is the greatest guitarist. And I think that really says a lot, because we have this notion of, or not notion, I guess sometimes we have this habit of whenever people die, we want to speak well of them. So oftentimes you'll say things out of emotion or just trying to be kind, and you kind of inflate like a person's legacy. And that's totally normal, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that, but people were saying this about Prince before he died. And I think that really speaks volumes to how incredible he was as a guitarist. But anyways, talking about the overt and subversive sexuality, the hidden and skewed in wordplay as far as being as sexual as humanly possible while still being able to release your music on a major record label. I'm Yours is that one. Just a couple of lyrics. Up until the other day, there remained an empty space within my bed. Then I took one look at you and naughty things that we could do. Chris, are you listening?
Oh, yeah.
I took one look at you and all the things that we could do. Dance within my head. It's I could keep going on with this, whatever, but long story short, the guitar work in this is, I think it is Prince at his absolute best. I'm rambling like I always do. I'm talking super, super long, but this is it's kind of a forgotten project. Like I said, this album didn't really sell nearly as well. If you look at a lot of the, the greatest Prince albums of all time, you're going to see Purple Rain up there. You're going to see Sign of the Times. You're going to see Controversy. You're going to see his, his self-titled album. You're not going to see this one on here. It's a weird project. It only runs about 35 minutes long, and I'm Yours is the last of it, and it is just such a banger. If you guys get one song out of this, I know it's kind of weird listening to a podcast where they're talking about songs and you don't hear them, but literally go back, make sure that you write all these names down and go listen to them, and make sure you listen to I'm Yours with a set of headphones in. You will not be disappointed. It is just Prince at his absolute best.
And much like Prince says in I'm Yours, Yancy, you're the teacher, show me how.
Yeah.
All right.
It's so corny, but it's like such a thirst song, but he just shreds. He's so talented, guys.
He sure is. All right. That was a good number one. Derek, what do you got for number one?
All right. I'm gonna borrow from Yancy here and do a couple honorable mentions before I jump into number one. Really, the only honorable mention I want to say is the Diamonds and Pearls album from 1991. So I was in high school. This was right when I was in the middle of high school. Like I graduated high school in 93. So this would have been my third year in. I was right, you're a very impressionable age. I would have been 16, 17 when this came out. Like it's a very impressionable time for a young person, especially someone who really, really enjoys music like I do and like I did. So Diamonds and Pearls, I find, is one of those albums from Prince that doesn't always seem to get a lot of love. You don't hear, when they play Prince's greatest hits, you don't usually hear stuff off it. It had a couple of big hits off it: Cream, Diamonds and Pearls, the title track, and Get Off, 3 great songs from this album. And I found I've been listening to my Prince playlist the last few days, sort of get me in the mood. I found that Diamonds and Pearls, the actual song, I've been humming it and singing it to myself all weekend. And I don't remember it having that kind of staying power, but it's like just something about the melody and the lyrics. I just find that album doesn't seem to get enough love. So I wanted to give it an honorable mention and a shout out before I jump into my number one, which is probably from Prince's greatest album, as Yancy alluded to, 1984, Purple Rain, Prince and the Revolution. How can this not be number one? This is like doing the Michael Jackson podcast and not picking Thriller as a number one, Chris. But
Billie Jean.
I'm not going to, my single is not Purple Rain, exactly for the reasons Yancy just said. It's very long and it's a slower song, and it sort of, it paints a mood, and in the context of the movie, it's fantastic. Like it's a great song in its own right. But again, it's not one you hear on the radio that much, partly because it's slower, it's really long, but that shouldn't diminish its artistry in any way. The song I'm going with is Let's Go Crazy. This is my number one favorite Prince song. And I said before, Prince has songs in all different genres. To me, this is a rock and roll song. Let's Go Crazy. You got the guitar, you got all the things that go with a rock song. And it is what does it say here? It was the first track on the album, and it's the first song you hear in the movie. So like Prince really felt strongly, I would assume, that this was definitely what he wanted to, like, they always say, put your best foot forward. Like this was his best foot. This is the introduction to this album. This is the introduction to this movie. Let's Go Crazy by Prince. If you're 5 minutes in and you don't like it, you're not going to like the rest of the album. You're not going to like the movie. Like this is when Prince becomes a super duper star. It came out in 1984. It was his second number one hit on the Billboard 100. It reached the top 10 in the UK. And as we mentioned previously, it was re-released after his death. It reached the top 100 in 2016. It got as high as number 25. Just a little bit about Purple Rain. Again, Chris, I suspect your number one pick might also be from Purple Rain, but so this might be stepping on your toes a bit. But Purple Rain album sold more than 13 million copies. It spent 24 consecutive weeks at number one on the Billboard charts. 24 weeks. That's half a year. It won Prince an Academy Award for Best Original Song. Or was it original score? Anyway, he won an Oscar for it. At one point in 1984, Prince simultaneously had the number one album, the number one single, and the number one film in the U.S. And it was the first time a singer had ever achieved that feat. Like, you can't belittle that accomplishment. It is amazing. Like Prince was the be-all, as I said the last one, Prince is the man. And in 1984, Prince was the capital M man. Like, he was on top of everything. And this song, Let's Go Crazy, in my mind was the best song off the Purple Rain album, the best song out of the movie, my personal favorite song. I can't say enough good things about Let's Go Crazy. That's my number one. Chris, what do you got?
That's a good one. So Derek, guess what? You and I are very much alike because my number one Prince song is Let's Go Crazy.
Hey!
Not only is this my favorite Prince song, it's one of my favorite songs of all time, period. It's just so good. It's hard for me to think of another song that has the raw energy that this song does. Like, it starts out with the long keyboard chords and his voiceover, and then it just explodes. And if you consider the fact that it's basically just two chords, it's just an F sharp and a B, but the band just rocks it. And then when you think the song's over, Prince shreds off the single greatest guitar solo of all time. And he uses both distortion and a wah pedal for better effect. And the result, it's mind-blowing. This guitar solo, Yancy, hit the nail on the head. He said Prince is the greatest guitar player who ever lived. And the thing is, when I think of, great guitar playing, I always think of this song and the guitar solo at the end. Prince did a lot of great stuff, but for me, this is his best song of all time. Like I say, it just explodes when it gets going. It's more of a force of nature than a song, in my opinion. And that's why it's number one for me and for Derek, too.
Yep.
There you go,
Chris.
All right. Good. We did it through. All right. You know what? Let's have some
fun with Yancy.
Yancy, it's just so good to have you back, my friend.
I agree. It feels good to be.
And the thing with you, Yancy, is not only do you enjoy music, you're also a musician in your own right because you play the drums.
Correct.
Not everyone knows that about you. But even when you were a regular on the little show around here, you didn't always talk about your ability to play the drums very much, but you're an accomplished drummer, Yancy.
Accomplished is very that's yes, I know how to play drums. Yeah.
well, I tell you what, between the fact that you play the drums and since you love music so much just in general, I'm going to put you on the hot seat tonight and I'm going to ask you some trivia about drummers. Okay, here's how it's going to work. Pretty simple. I name a drummer. All you have to do is tell me which band that he was a part of. Got it?
God.
So
Okay.
it's simple,
Okay.
right? Like, for example, if I were to say Ringo Starr, you would say?
Metallica.
Yeah, there you go.
Traveling Wilburys.
So you're going to do well. You're going to do well. And I tell you, I got a list of 21 drummers.
Holy cow.
Wow,
And you're
okay.
just going to sail through them. Okay, I'm going to start you with an easy one. It's Canadian, too. It's a softball question. Neil Peart.
Rush. Rest in peace.
Very good. Phil Collins.
Genesis.
Oh, that's very good. Dave Grohl.
The Foo Fighters and Nirvana. Well, no, Nirvana. And then he became a guitarist for Foo Fighters.
Yeah, very good. Very good. I would accept it either or. Okay, Tommy Lee.
Damn it.
I know this one.
I always get these two mixed up. It's either Motley Crue or I don't think he's particularly talented, but I'll say Motley Crue.
Motley Crue is correct.
Okay.
Charlie Watts. Who did Charlie Watts drum for?
I don't know.
The Rolling Stones.
Yikes.
You know,
Okay.
only the most famous band that ever lived.
By the way, Derek, if I don't know, feel free to jump in.
No.
I didn't know that one, but I knew all the other ones that you got.
Yes, he's on the hot seat here. Okay, here, Don Henley. Who did Don Henley drum for?
The Eagles.
He did. Very
Good
good.
thing, too.
He did. All right, Mickey Dolenz. Who did Mickey Dolenz drum for?
Can you give me a hint?
They also had a TV show.
The Monkees?
Very good. Yes.
Is it really the Monkees?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, that was just a guess. Okay. Aren't they
good
like
guess.
a fake band? They were like a basically like a studio, just like put them together.
Yeah, I think they put out a newspaper ad looking for people to join this fake band for this TV show, and they went from there. They ended up.
That was a
having it.
very nice hint, though. That literally was the one band that I could think of for that.
Yeah. What other band has a TV show back in the 60s? Okay, John Bonham. Who did John Bonham?
Led Zeppelin, of course.
Very good. All right, Frank Beard.
Oh, I know this one.
Yeah, you do, Derek. Frank Beard.
Oh my God. This is gonna drive me crazy. Give me a hint.
He was the only member of the band not to have a beard.
I feel like stupid if I'm gonna say this. Is it ZZ Top or is it?
It is ZZ Top.
Is it really?
Yes.
Eric, was that your guess too?
No, I knew that was right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
My mom and dad are really like screaming at the podcast right now.
And the hit was a good one, I think. All right, Keith Moon. Who did Keith Moon drum for?
God, this is so much harder than it looks. People are judging me so hard. I'm not sure. I don't know.
It's The Who. The Who.
Yikes.
All right.
Yeah, I should have done that.
Roger Taylor. Who did Roger Taylor drum for?
I don't know. Derek, help me out.
No, I mean, I know these names, but for the life of me, I can't. Was he Pink Floyd?
Queen. All right, here's an easy one. Peter Criss. Who did Peter Criss drum for?
That one I know.
I don't know.
Kiss.
Yes, it was Kiss. Yes. All right.
Can I just go on record as saying Kiss is one of my least favorite bands of all time?
That's fine. You could justify that for getting it wrong. That's fine. All right. How about Max Weinberg? Who did Max Weinberg drum for?
Oh, I think I know this.
I don't know this.
Derek, do you know?
Well, there was the Max Weinberg 7 for, I think it was David, no, not Letterman, one of the TV shows. But I think before that, he was with Bruce Springsteen, wasn't he?
Yes, it was Conan O'Brien.
Conan O'Brien.
He was the Max Weinberg 7. And yes, Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band is correct.
There you go.
All right. This one's one for Yancy. You should be able to get this one. Artemis Pyle.
Is this, you're going to say something stupid.
No. Artemis,
Is it from a movie?
He was known as the Wild Man of Southern Rock.
Wild Man of Southern Rock.
You know this band. Think of Southern Rock.
It's not Leonard Skinner, is it?
Yes, it is Leonard Skinner.
Is it really?
Yes.
Okay, wow.
All right.
Lucky guess.
Rick Allen. Who did Rick Allen drum for?
I don't know. Derek?
I know this one. Def Leppard.
Yes. It's
He had
Def
one
Leppard.
arm.
He's the guy with one arm.
Not when they started, but he does now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Got in a car accident.
I remember reading an article. He has 32 foot pedals that he uses to compensate for the lack of an arm, which is pretty cool.
Pretty cool. All right, Ginger Baker. Who did Ginger Baker drum for?
I don't know.
Derek?
No idea.
Cream. I would have also accepted Blind Faith, but Cream is a very famous drummer. All right, Tico Torres. Who did Tico Torres drum for?
The Grateful Dead.
No, it was Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi? Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's Bon Jovi.
All right, here's another Canadian one. Gil Moore. Also became the founder of the world-famous recording studio Metalworks in Toronto. But who did he drum for back in the 70s and 80s?
Triumph.
Yes, very good.
Wow, good call, Yancy.
Okay, listen, that in all seriousness, I only got that right because Chris and I have a lot of history together. And there's like 17 things that he tries to mention over and over again as much as he can because he loves them so much. It's like me with like Tom Petty and Prince. He has mentioned Triumph so much. So that was just like a game theory thing. Like, all right, he's going to try to get Triumph in here somehow. Like I had.
Well, I would never have known that. And I would have felt a little embarrassed not knowing my CanCon.
All right. Yeah. Two more. You do more. You're doing pretty good. All right. Larry Mullen Jr. Who's Larry Mullen Jr., the drummer?
Larry Mullen Jr. I have no idea.
Oh, I think I know that.
Derek should know.
Is it U2?
It is U2. Yes.
Wow. Impressive. Okay.
All right. Last one. Levon Helm. Famous drummer. Levon Helm.
Can you give me a hint?
They have a very generic name.
Can you give me more of a hint?
Yeah, I got no idea.
They were the backup band for Bob Dylan.
The band.
Yes, it is the band. So that I gave that one away to you.
Their self-titled album is again. I know it sounds like I just like say as exaggerated of things as I can, but it is one of the best albums of all time as well. It is a great album.
And Canadian content in there with Robbie Robertson, that's for sure. So all good.
Well, I did pretty good. I'll be honest with you. Most of the bands that you listed here, with a few exceptions, obviously like Rush and stuff, like these were not bands that I was like, I want to drum like that guy. Like that's not like I was hoping you'd say something like Yaki from Can, or obviously Bonham is like one of the all-time greats ever. Those are great picks, but some of these are some weird ones that I'll have to go back and I'll have to take a look at them. But
but I think
definitely a fun tribute. I think I did pretty good.
Yeah, I think you did pretty good. I mean, overall, I gave you some hints though, young man. But no, I think you did pretty good overall. So and just some of them are names that people just know, like like they're just famous just because they were drummers, right? And they were in the band. But anyway, Yancy, thanks a lot for coming back on this week. And if you want to reach out to Yancy on Twitter, you'll find him at Yancy Eaton. And you're gonna come back and join us again sometime, right?
Yeah, let's do this again, guys. This was fun.
And like I said, after COVID's over, you're going to come to Canada, and the three of us are going to go out and do karaoke. You're going to do your Prince song with a falsetto, and I'm going to do Ring Ring a Dong for a Holiday.
Oh my god.
Look, he managed to squeeze that one in too.
Derek, that's one of the 17 things that he mentions over and over again. That's what I was talking about. That's one of them.
There you go. So some things never change, right? So Derek, for next week we gotta watch a movie. So we've had some fun. I had fun with my last movie pick with Smokey and the Bandit. I want to have some more fun again. Okay, so I want to go back to 1985. And we are going to watch a movie that never got a sequel, but it sure should have, especially with the title that it had. And that's Remo Williams' The Adventure Begins.
Nice.
All right, you up for the challenge?
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie since 1985.
Yeah,
and I don't know if I want it to hold up or not, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to hold up very well, but it's going to be a lot of fun watching it. I think that's where I'm going into it with. So, like I say, if you would like to reach out on Twitter, Yancy Eaton's at Yancy Eaton. Derek, you'll get at Amaron_DM, and you'll get me on Twitter at CMcBrien, and popgoesyourworld.com is our website. Well, on behalf of Yancy Eaton and Derek Myers, this is Chris McBrien saying thanks for listening to Pop Goes Your World, the pop culture podcast for the generations.
Thanks for listening to Pop Goes Your World. You can contact Chris and Derek at popgoesyourworld.com. Please take a minute and review the podcast on iTunes or wherever you download and listen to the show.